Got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings,
Morning once again. We send guided is regarding the way forward, how we should proceed.
Mr. Mafume, in the interest of time, we are obviously not able to finalize your matters today, your evidence. We'll have to excuse you until next week, which is Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday is okay.
What date?
Monday.
Yes, you are stood. We'll stand you down until the 10th of February, which is Monday next week. At 900 hours, when you continue with your evidence.
10.
Yes.
Okay.
10th is a Monday.
Yes, I'm trying to just check my diary. I'm supposed to leave for Kenya on the 11th.
Yeah, so
If on the 11th.
It's
Yeah, 11th is a Tuesday, so it depends entirely on what you are telling us. If you give evidence satisfactorily, you will certainly be released early. Because you see, if you keep on not being candid and we find that there's something which is not coming out, you can actually find yourself following maybe on Thursday. You might actually end up find yourself following on Thursday. But if we finish our evidence on that day, you'll definitely leave. Yeah, fine.
Just to clarify on the record, the issue that we're talking about on the 4 million.
Yes.
I've since discovered that the...
Right, just hold on. You are reminded that we are still under oath.
Still under oath.
Yes, fine.
I'm made to understand that our resolution that the matter be reported to ZACC was done, and ZACC is investigating the matter as we speak.
When was it reported?
It was reported sometime last year.
Are you able to show us proof?
Yes, they will be able to.
Do you have any reason as to understand? Do you know why it was only reported to ZACC and not the police?
There was, the matter was that there was a lot of reluctance on this issue from the interested stakeholders.
But you have got the power to order that they reported?
Yes, I have the power to order that they report.
Can you undertake to report this matter immediately and also give us an IR or CRB or a CR on Monday?
Most
to show that you have personally undertaken to report the matter?
I will personally.
Are there any sacred cows, to your knowledge?
To me, there are no sacred cows.
Yeah, fine, thank you. So
but I will slaughter all the cows.
Right, indeed, fine. And we shall indeed feast on Monday.
Well,
right.
Thank you.
All right, you may be excused,
okay.
Your worship. Thank you. Right, fine.
I've got the Director of Housing.
What is his name?
Nekairo.
Yes, maybe call him, please.
Your record will reflect that he was merely stood down, as has happened to the mayor.
He is now recalled. No, you were finalizing his evidence.
Yeah.
Can you call Nekairo, please, engineer? No, not engineer. No, not engineer. H. Sorry?
Edmo Nekairo.
Yes, thank you. If you are going to give everything in English, so sorry, man, please.
Do you swear that the evidence we are going to give before this commission shall be the truth, nothing else but the truth? If you do swear, you may raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Mr. Boss.
Thank you very much. Just before I recap on the evidence that you gave, the last time you were here appearing before the commission, may I give you the opportunity just to clarify an issue that the commission has just been seized with, which relates to the accommodation of the mayor. I think it's house number 9, Drummond, Chaplin Road, Milton Park. You are aware of the issue?
I am aware.
And the allocation of housing is one that is under your purview as the Director of Housing?
9 Drummond was part of the pool council houses that we allocate.
Yes, can you just clarify to this commission circumstances that led to your allocating it to the mayor?
The matter was raised in the Human Resources and General Purposes Committee, where it was indicated that because Harare House was being used for something else other than the use by the executive mayor, the Department of Housing was asked to look for an alternative property to give to the mayor.
Okay. How long has this mayor been holding office?
He started holding office before the August 2023 elections, and after the elections, for a while, it was the office was held by Ian Makone. Upon recall, that's when Councilor Jacob Mafume assumed the post of mayor. To answer your question, I think for now, during the current tenure, it's less than 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Very well. And before that, he had been mayor?
He had been mayor, yes.
Are you able to indicate to this commission the urgency of that matter now? One would assume that in all the duration that he has been mayor, he did not have mayoral accommodation. Are you able to enlighten to this commission the urgency of it now? Why now?
I cannot really give an answer to that. As I indicated, the matter was brought by the chairman of the Human Resources and General Purposes Committee, whereupon we said there was need for a report to be prospered to that committee so that it really comes formally before the committee. It's not a matter which arose from the committee which I am chief to, that is the Education, Housing, Health and Community Services Committee. This came from the HRA committee where it was indicated that
yes,
the mayor...
Yes, you have told us Let me move on to the next point.
Yes.
You would agree with me that there is no urgency attached to this situation. It is not as if you suddenly have a mayor who is destitute, who now needs accommodation. The status quo has prevailed for over 2 years. So the allocation of the house at this stage is not a matter of urgency.
The agency was... I'm not aware of the agency.
It's not a matter of dire need.
I will agree to that submission.
Would one be wrong then in concluding that the rationale driving that particular resolution is for other issues other than the best interests of Harare citizens? Because there is no dire need, there is no urgency, the mayor is not destitute, the situation has been like that for a while.
I will agree.
I would further say to you that perhaps if we look at the previous 3 mayors, Herbert Gomba, Ian Makone, Councilor Masunda, none of them had council accommodation in the same manner that your council proposes to give the mayor now.
I agree.
I'm going to give you a circular of the 26th of September 2024, which is part of the evidence that is before this commission, relating to benefits and allowances applicant to the mayor. Are you aware of that circular?
I am aware.
That circular makes no provision for the process that you are currently undertaking of allocating the mayor accommodation.
I agree. It's not contained in this circular.
You therefore agree with me that the process that you're involved in of allocating the mayor a house despite the circular that is in front of you is actually ultra vires the law. It runs in direct contradiction to the directives given you by the Ministry of Local Government in terms of the law.
The conditions of service of councillors, including the mayor, it is within the purview of the Chamber Secretary. So the Chamber Secretary may comment more competently than me on that matter.
Yeah, but question is, do you know whether or not the concept of service covers those accommodations?
The circular is silent on that. It doesn't cover the issue of accommodation.
So what do you understand by that? If it's not covered?
I will conclude that it's not part of the perks of the mayor.
Mm-hmm. Now, you are a person of more than humble academic qualifications, which you indicated to this commission when you started. You are aware of the fact that this process that you are undergoing right now runs against that circular. You are aware of that. Now, I want you to be very honest with this commission in the next question that I'm asking you, because it will be very important. Who is the driver? What is it that is causing you to implement a resolution that is against the law? Who is the driver of that? Because you are aware it's not lawful. What is it that is causing you to do it?
Well, the matter was being driven by the mayor himself. Mm-hmm.
Did you not feel inclined to indicate to the mayor that what he was pushing ran contrary to directives given by the ministry as a director?
I leaned on my colleague, the Chamber Secretary, to give us guidance, even when the matter was first brought in without a report. We requested that a report be prospered.
No, but Mr. Negaro, even the Chamber Secretary can never convince you to do something that you can see is blatantly illegal.
Answer the question.
There was pressure on the matter, Chairman.
You felt you could not withstand the pressure?
I will say so.
Now, would you agree with me then that it is the culture that is now prevalent, that is the status quo within the Harare City Council, that you all buckle under the pressure of the councillors and the mayor to the detriment of the law and the interests of Harare citizens?
I will not say that general statement.
But speaking for yourself, is there pressure which causes you to do things which others would not have done?
No.
But I thought that's what you said. You said there was pressure for you to act the way you did from the mayor. Are you now wanting to change that statement?
In the lease agreement that we were to come up with.
No, answer the question.
Yes.
Do you remember yourself saying that?
Yes.
Do you want to change?
My point, Chairman, is that we conform to the dictates of procedure and of the law.
Pressure is coming from the mayor. That's what you told us. It was coming from the mayor. Is that correct?
In this instance, yes.
Right.
You live in perpetual, let me put it this way, you live in terrorem of the councillors and policymakers, including the mayor, because they are quite able to influence whether or not you are employed there or not.
Yes, they...
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
So now
That's
this
fine.
is a situation that you obviously would implore those above the commission to change. The city cannot function like this.
It will make work and life much easier.
Now, this dovetails into the points that I want to raise now, and I just want to recap for you, because it is now a few months ago that you gave evidence before this commission. Let me just recap some of the issues you indicated. The first one, you were asked by myself then as the evidence leader. Now, information in the public domain and sometimes found in press is that councillors use benefits, those they perceive as their supporters, that councillors use these to benefit those they perceive as their supporters in their political parties. And these, we were referring to stands that had been made available through regularization. You still recall that?
I recall.
Yes, and you still abide by that councillors made use of the regularization process to benefit their political supporters.
What I indicated at that time was the regularization process, or the creation of those stands. It went through circulation, where councillors were supposed to append their signature.
No, at this moment, I'm merely recapping what is record. And the record of what transpired then was that you admitted before this commission that councillors used stands derived from the regularization process to benefit their supporters, their political party supporters.
It was possible, although I cannot...
Did you say that? He's reading from the record. Do you remember saying that?
Your response was, I wouldn't dispute that.
I wouldn't dispute that.
I said I wouldn't dispute that.
So, meaning that you agree?
Meaning that it's very possible.
Meaning that you agree with what the assertion which was?
I agree.
You are fine, thank
You
you.
seem to be prevaricating. I'll move on to the next point. You indicated then that this involvement of councillors in the direct allocation of stands, which was your purview, destabilized the functions of your office. Do you recall that?
I recall.
You still stand by that?
I stand by it.
Very well. Then, and I want to read straight from the record. Now, I quote, now you will agree that in the past 5 years, your councillors have benefited from the sale of land beyond the stands that they are allocated in their own constituency. And before you answer, that evidence will be presented to the Commission and those who signed for the allocation of the allocation well known by the Commission. I re-ask the question. In the past 5 years, councillors have been allocated land and bought it, which is not land in their own constituencies, which they are not allowed at law. You recall that question?
I recall.
And your response was that that was true.
I had also explained.
No, you remember saying that. It's written down here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. We agreed to, rather.
I agree, but can I also explain?
No. Do you agree that's what you said earlier?
That's what I said.
Yes, fine. Can you move on to the new area, please?
I was just doing that as a recap of the evidence you gave in this court, because it will lead on to the next question, which is, and the final issue we'll deal with you about. That is the issue of cluster homes. What is your role in that process as the director of housing?
My role is very minimal because the creation of stands meant for cluster homes, it falls within the purview of the town planning department. My role as a housing director is minimal because you may find that an individual who would have been allocated a stand can then initiate the process of creating cluster homes, and that falls within the Department of Urban Planning.
Yes.
I have asked about your role, not others. What is your role?
I basically have no role to play. If we are allocating a stand for clusters, it will have to go through council. But
you said that your role was minimal. Yes. Now you're saying you have no role.
Yes.
These two are irreconcilable. Minimal means there is a role, and then when you say no role, there is not even the minimal role you speak of.
My only role is when I give a 4,000 square meter stand, that stand can subsequently be divided into clusters, which I have no role to play.
When it is divided into clusters,
yes,
and there is stand allocation of those clusters, are you not involved?
I'm not, because it will now be a private property.
Very well. So, you are telling this commission that there are no plans at all when you do land allocation yourself for cluster homes?
Normally, if there are those stands, they are given to a developer who we have to seek authority from council to give a single developer.
You allocate those stands?
I do allocate.
So you allocate stands that are used for clusters?
For clusters and flats.
Very well. Now, Harare residents have noticed a proliferation of cluster homes, and they are concerned that perhaps the city is not able to offer basic amenities that it ordinarily should because of the mushrooming of household units. Mm-hmm. Right? You are aware of that?
I am aware.
Right. What is the plan that you have in place to control that? Why is there a proliferation of these? Why are you allocating these cluster stands on the scale that you are?
I'm not allocating any such stands for cluster homes. As I indicated, these are the formerly big stands which individual owners are now applying to subdivide into clusters.
But you have said you also allocate cluster stands yourself.
I do, but we haven't been allocating any such stands during the period that I have been in council.
Very well. Yes, you may not be directly involved. Oh, sorry, let me just follow on that. And which period have you been in council?
May 2017 to present.
So your evidence before this commission is that throughout the duration of that period, no stands have been allocated directly as cluster homes, but that all the cluster homes that we see come out of stands that did not come through that process.
I confirm.
This is now a period of about, 7 years?
7 years.
Yes.
And in the 7 years that you have been there, has there been a discussion amongst you directors as to the proliferation of these cluster homes and its effects, vis-a-vis the fact that you yourself, as a department, have not allocated any in 7 years?
That discussion has been held. In fact, there was a stakeholder consultation meeting that was also held at Town House, where we profiled the interested stakeholders, particularly from areas of Greendale, Vinona, and Borodale, which areas were experiencing a proliferation of this conversion of single dwelling units into cluster homes. That discussion was indeed held.
And the stakeholders expressed concern about this?
They did.
But despite this concern, you have carried on as a city council allocating these clusters, whether it's your department or anyone else, unabated. The stakeholders' concerns have not been taken into account.
I wouldn't say they haven't been, because out of that discussion, the town planner is now mindful of the concerns of residents and the impact it is having on not only sewer and water reticulation infrastructure, but even the availability of ancillary facilities like schools, because ordinarily for every 500 stands there must be a primary school. But densification can now result in more housing units created without the facilities being also available.
And this anomaly actually affects your duties as well as a director, because the persons or entities that you're allocating these stands are prejudiced because of these anomalies that you've just mentioned.
There is pressure on existing services.
Mr. Chairman, I have with me a document that I've caused to be put in your record. This is a memo and an affidavit from the Property Developers Association of Zimbabwe. It will be used again when we have brought the mayor back. But I just wanted you to be aware of it now for the next question that I'm going to ask, without necessarily going through it.
Mm-hmm.
You are aware. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
ask the question, please. Yeah, proceed.
Yes, thank you. Now, in this stakeholders meeting that you speak of, a pertinent point was raised, which naturally should be of concern not only to you, but to ratepayers as well, is that this process of allocation of stands for cluster houses involves councillors.
Yes.
Yes. And that part of the process of this allocation of these cluster houses is that councillors are actually involved in site visits and inspections of proposed cluster developments.
Where there is
I am sorry, for interest of time, I'm going to interrupt you and redirect you to the question that I've asked. And that what came out of your meeting from stakeholders, including Property Developers Association of Zimbabwe, is that the process of allocation of cluster development properties involves councillors in respective wards will carry out site visits on those proposed developments.
Yes, during the circulation process,
No,
the local
that's
councillor,
answer the question.
the local councillor and the district officer of that area, they sign off before it comes to commit.
You haven't answered the
So
question.
they get involved.
They get involved.
They get involved. And that, this is a process in terms of the technical siting of those cluster homes that shouldn't involve councillors.
But it doesn't remove the role that the planner must play.
Let me redirect you to the question. The technical assessment of the sites, etc., is not within the purview of civilian councillors who are untrained in this field.
It's not.
Shouldn't involve them.
It's not.
Right. Now, I'll move on. The concerns that were raised in that meeting is that this proliferation of cluster homes is an issue that is benefiting councillors in their personal capacities.
I am not able to make a comment.
I am saying the issue was raised.
Yes, it was.
And the issue was raised that these councillors who have the power to yay or nay a project like that, then have a situation whereby they can extort funds from proposed developers for those.
It's possible.
It was raised. It was raised in that meeting. Answer.
It was raised.
Now, if I were to suggest to you that of course there is this proliferation of stands, because councillors, part of the reason is that councillors are benefiting personally from this process through means that are outside the law by extorting from developers to be allowed to build.
So if you can
I'd like
cast your question.
I'd like your comment on that.
The proliferation of clusters, to me, it's a needs-driven occurrence where people are desirous of accommodation. If some of the developers are now being extorted by councillors because they are anxious to commence their development, I'm saying it's possible, but the intention will be to meet an identified need out there.
No, it's not about need. There is need for houses. Can we build cluster homes in this yard, for instance? It's not about that.
There are certain standards which the town planner...
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, are you saying, as the Harare City Council, you have run out of land?
I will agree that we have run out of land.
You have run out of land. You have allocated people until you have no more land to allocate.
The land that we have, it's not adequate. We have run out of land.
The question is, you've allocated more land than what you have.
We have run out of land.
Do you agree with him?
I agree.
Yeah.
There's no more stand allocation happening. Your office is now redundant.
That's why
Answer the question. We're not looking for a reason.
we are still allocating.
Where are you getting it from when you've run out of it?
Applications are being made to government to convert certain usable open spaces.
But are you allocating those before you get the answer from government?
No.
So where are you getting the land to allocate the land you are allocating if you have run out of land?
It has been mainly from regularization, Chairman. Very few land has been, or stands are being created on land designated residential.
This is the regularization that we've all agreed in this room is unlawful, was done in a corrupt manner, and benefited people along party lines. This is the main source of land to people right now.
Yes, which was done out of invasion.
Right, fine. Another question?
No, I think I'm done.
Thank you, Chair. Just to recap on the points that were made at the previous hearing and now, you confirm that as we speak, there's no digital housing waiting list.
There's none.
It's all paper-based and filed.
It's manual.
And it means, obviously, your plans for housing for Harare are not in any digital form or format.
Not yet.
To manipulation.
They are not yet digital.
Do you, as the Director of Housing, know how many houses are owned by the City of Harare in terms of flats, medium density houses, high density houses, low density houses?
Just over 11,000, most of which are the hostels or flats in Mbare, where we have 5,532. But we have just over 11,000.
I ask this because in the evidence given by the mayor, number 9 Drummond Chaplain had been abandoned for 15 years and hijacked by a former employee, and was only recovered for the purposes of allocation to the mayor. Do you have enough records and information pertaining to the houses owned by council?
We have the records because 9 Drummond was once occupied by the city planner of City of Harare, who passed on some years ago. And his kids had continued staying at that house. So those records, we have them. And where the property will be in arrears, we institute eviction orders, which are done through the courts, and we rely on our legal. But the records of all the properties that I have cited, in spite of the challenge of non-digitalization, we have those records in manual form.
So according to you, all the housing or residential properties owned by the City of Harare have leases, and you have all the leases?
We have the leases. Maybe what I cannot vouch is that are the tenants who have the leases, are they the ones who are still in occupation of those properties? But we know all the properties that we have.
Okay, I asked this because the house in question was occupied by, like you said, an employee of City of Harare.
Yes.
Now it's being occupied by an elected official, or it's in line to be occupied by an elected official. Does this mean that all the employees of City of Harare have housing given by the city?
No.
So what is the motivation of giving that house to an elected official?
As I indicated, this was born out of a council resolution from the Human Resources and General Purposes Committee, not the Housing Committee. In fact, as housing, after we created regions, we intended it to be the offices for regional manager for Region 1.
That specific house?
Yeah, an application has been made by the regional manager.
Now, you also told us that where land has been invaded, there's a process called regularization.
Yes.
Now, where this land has been regularized, have you now come up with bills and utility statements for those areas as we speak?
The bills and utilities, one of the condition precedent was that the people must have obtained a certificate of occupation. And certificate of occupation is obtained when the project is all that is reflected on the designs. But because of the length of time it was taking, we are now giving certificates for parallel development so that we quickly start charging the occupants of those areas. We had started opening accounts for just over 16,000 properties that had been regularized. So indeed, the process of opening accounts for those individuals is underway.
I ask because the ratepayers who are receiving account statements in pay are subsidizing those that are not in the system but enjoying the services. So to what extent can you tell us that you've gone in bringing these people up to into your records, so to speak?
Those that are to be regularized, we are talking of 100 properties. Yet we have only done about 16,000. Our properties that are in the billing system, we are talking of 322,000. Yet we have around 400,000 properties. So to a large extent, those that are being billed are subsidizing the 80,000 odd residents that are not yet paying anything.
And what is being done to rectify the situation? It does not give motivation to the ones that are actually paying.
Council formed a regularization task force, and it is out of the regularization task force efforts that these 16,000 have been now uploaded in the system. Because what we are ensuring we do is that individuals who are on properties that are not schools, that are not wetlands, are then regularized and uploaded in the system. So whilst the pace may not be up to what we expect, but we are saying over the period, over 16,000 have been uploaded, and we are hopeful that during the course of 2025, we will make inroads in ensuring that the remaining number is regularized and also uploaded in our system.
Okay. How closely does your department work with the estates, Department of Estates?
Quite closely, because the State Department, they are the owners of the land. If there are any properties that are to be put in the system, we write to the Estates Department.
I ask this because we've had people tell us that there are city council properties which have leases from 2016 and 2015 that have not been updated, where people are paying money equivalent to $5 United States a month, but subleasing them out for 500 going up. How often do you update your leases to go with economic trends?
The lease agreements that I superintend over are for residential properties. City valuations is responsible for the churches and all other commercial properties. Those we don't really liaise. It is within the purview of our valuations department.
And then lastly, how many recreational parks are functional right now in the high density areas of Harare, where people can play soccer or play sport or walk around? How many are functioning right now as you speak?
Very few. Glenora is still functional, although the condition that it is in will require improvement. But whilst they are there, we really need to improve for them to be functional.
You've mentioned one. Is it the only one functioning?
I can say that's the only one that is functional.
In low density areas, how many have you sold as City of Harare?
We have sold.
Yes, recreational parks.
We have not sold any.
There's one on Campbell Road in Vainona where the city was taken to court by residents. And an individual came saying that they bought it.
You are probably referring to 8 Campbell Road. It's not a park. Close to Pomona shops. If that is the one that you are referring to, it wasn't a park.
And the one on Balmoral Road in Vanona, where there's now a church that rents out a recreational park. They've put a tent next to swings. As I earlier indicated, leases for churches is done by our valuations department, but we... But are these not amenities that fall within your portfolio?
They are.
This is what I'm asking, the custodian. Can you tell us today under oath that you have not sold recreational stands under the guise of change of use?
No, we have not. We have not. It may be Balmoral, it may be that it is now being used for something else, but we have not disposed it.
Thank you, Mr. Negaro.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Negaro, for coming to us, the Commission. Just a question on regularization. You talked about a circulation which takes place, and that on that circulation, I think councillors signed or something.
Yes.
Indicating that they want the place regularized.
It may be that they want or they don't want. They must make a comment on the proposal that will be made. So they can say, yes, I have no objection, or they will put a condition.
Where will the proposal be coming from?
It will be coming from town planning.
It will be coming from town planning.
Yes.
And like has already been indicated, councillors then, you say together with district officers.
District officers.
Are the ones who then say yes or no to that.
They will make their comments.
All right. Now, will these circulations end up in council?
Yes.
For a council resolution?
Yes.
So, if we asked you, you will be able to supply the Commission with the resolutions of council regularizing all these pieces of land?
Yes.
Indicating the process they went through.
The town planning department has all the documents because it goes through the Works and Town Planning Committee.
No, but I'm saying the resolution, doesn't it come from a committee? From a committee which you yourself work with the housing, the one which has something to do with the housing?
It starts from town planning.
And then? Then
it comes to housing for the actual allocation once the regularization has been endorsed by council.
So it's possible that from your department you are able to get this information on the actual resolutions regularizing these 16,000 properties stands?
That will be from Works and Town Planning. What then comes from housing will be the authority to allocate the regularized stands. Yes.
So councillors are the ones who resolve.
They are the ones
on the properties to be regularized.
Yes.
And that should, even if we ask the Chamber Secretary, should be able to get those kind of resolutions.
They are, yes.
Right. Then you mentioned something a bit disturbing, Mr. Nekairo, where you said on the 16,000 stands, you are now going for parallel development. Did I hear you correctly?
You heard me correct, yes.
And you are aware of the challenges we have faced because of parallel development in this country? Maybe you want to explain to us what you mean by parallel development.
Parallel development is where we are saying we are putting in the services whilst people will also be putting up the superstructures. And why we ended up consenting to this abnormality was because these pieces of land had already been occupied. Superstructures were there without the requisite amenities.
Yeah, but in some of these cases, we are aware that some of the superstructures were nothing more than mere cabins, which were put in place to facilitate regularization. We have had evidence to that effect.
Quite a number of areas have cabins, and we can only evict people through a court process once they have been in occupation for a day or two. So that's the legal challenge that we always face.
You are aware of the concept of dysfunctional settlements the country is facing right now in places like Harare, South Caledonia, and so on. You are aware of that?
I'm aware.
And we are now creating the same phenomenon in these 16,000 states, where people have no water, have no sewer, have no roads, and they are saying build your houses whilst we are providing infrastructure, which more often than not we never provide. These are already failing to service those areas which are already constructed.
We are organizing these areas into pay schemes. We are relying on the resources of the individuals to put in their services.
Thank you, Chairman.
As a follow-up to this, Mr. Nikai, these occupations you are talking about, you're talking about unlawful occupations.
Unlawful occupations.
And you are allowing people to build without approval on unlawful occupations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you are encouraging people to pay the council when they are unlawfully occupying the places. Is that proper?
No. Chairman, we have several court orders to demolish.
No, don't worry about that. But is that proper?
No, it's not proper.
Right. These court orders we have are to demolish.
Are to demolish.
Have you demolished?
We demolished, but when we then liaised with government, I think we were asked to stop the demolitions.
But do you demolish? What does the court order say? Does it say liaise with the government or say demolish?
The court order said demolish, Chairman.
Why then would you seek another authority from government?
I think the Minister of Local Government is on record saying you shall not demolish until without consultation.
But you created this problem. You allowed people to build on unlawful occupants. Isn't it?
The challenge that we have...
No, answer the question. I'm not talking about challenges. You went ahead and authorized and treated these people who are occupying as if they're lawful, when they're not.
They are not lawful, and we did not encourage them in any way.
By providing them with these services, you're actually trying to legitimatize them.
That's what we are trying to do.
So you are acting unlawfully again. Isn't it correct?
Chairman, these individuals, they start doing work
question I'm asking
during the weekend.
It's very simple. Even if during the weekend or at night, but the following day you'll see them. Isn't it? So you see them, ignore, and legitimatize.
Once
is that what happens?
It's because once there's evidence...
No. Is that what happens? You'll find out that they've already occupied. And you legitimatize.
That's what we are now doing through the regularization.
Okay.
Yes.
But you are conscious that what you are doing, you should have not done that in the first place.
We are quite aware.
Okay. Was it for political reasons?
I wouldn't want to say so. It wasn't.
Why? What was it?
It was being pragmatic, because we were looking at people who had invaded large tracts of land whom we could not just remove without providing alternative land as required by the law.
Do you have a housing list?
Housing waiting list.
Yes, housing waiting list.
We have it.
Why didn't you remove them and put those in the housing waiting list, which is lawful?
I'm not very clear with your suggestion, Chairman.
Why?
I'm saying
that you have got a housing waiting list already.
yes.
People who have properly applied for accommodation.
Yes.
You have got stands. Someone moves in overnight. You now decide to put the legal occupier, ignoring those who have come in through the lawful channels. Isn't it?
That's what has been happening.
It's why did you do that?
We're not doing that. It's only that the law dictates that when someone has slept on that piece of property, you can only evict through a court order.
Yes, and which you have obtained.
Which we have obtained. We have quite a number.
Yeah, that's fine. So yes, you are beginning to say something?
Yes, it is one issue that I think needs to be clarified, where I believe if left unclarified, it may amount to passing the buck. I just want to concentrate on the demolitions that were in the press, which everybody saw. You confirm that these demolitions involved mainly houses that had been complete, in some stages, two-story houses.
Some houses were complete, others were perimeter walls.
That's what the question is.
Yes.
Yes, they were complete, right? And these...
No, when you're shaking your head, I don't know, they're nodding.
These were complete houses.
Please
Yes.
Answer. Yes.
Which would have taken some time to complete.
Yes.
And in some of those houses, people were already living there.
Yes.
And this had been under circumstances where council knew that those houses were there.
Yes.
Where council knew that those houses were built or acquired illegally.
Yes.
And yet they were allowed to complete them.
Because they had...
No,
Yet
answer. Not
they
yet
were
because.
allowed
Answer the question
to complete
first.
them.
The reasons will profile later on, but answer the question.
Yes.
Yes, they were allowed to complete.
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree then that council became complicit in that illegality?
No.
You watched it. You let it happen. Is that not complicity?
We were taken to court by those individuals.
You won. You had orders. And they took you to court because they had finished building.
No.
Why didn't you stop them from carrying on? You could have gotten an order.
The order that was there was actually stopping council from doing anything on its
We
land.
have been through that. Those orders that were there had been received because council had not opposed them in court. They were orders by consent.
Is it not true?
For Belvedere,
They were
Is it
orders
not true?
by consent.
Was it not true?
I don't think it's true.
Why are you not saying no, it's not true? Because evidence has been given here. And if you maintain that it's not true, I'm going to ask this commission that it asks you to go and bring all those orders and find if you are telling the truth.
Maybe our chamber secretary, the
No,
legal.
no. Forget about the chamber secretary. If you'll have his time, it's you now behind people who are saying.
You know that those orders were by consent, the majority of them.
For Belvedere, no.
Is Belvedere the only place?
There are quite a number of areas where we have court orders.
The point
to
I am
demolish.
trying to make is that you were as guilty as the illegal land builders. You then sought to demolish the properties of people who you had consented to build. That is why government intervened. It is one accused person purporting to enforce the law on his co-accused person.
The consent that comes from council for one to build is on an approved plan. If you have no approved plan, you have no consent from council to build.
These orders that you were seeking to implement, were they contemporaneous with their being granted in court? Let me make it simpler for you.
Yeah.
Those orders had been sitting in the shelves for a long time before you sought to implement them.
Is it not true?
It's true. So it means then, as is suggested by the chairman, there were other reasons, perhaps political, even criminal, why those orders were dusted off the shelves and sought to be implemented at the time that the council chose.
Do you have an explanation for that? If you don't, please say so.
I have no answer to that, given that it's in another department.
You are part of management. You have no answer because what I'm saying is true. You cannot pass the buck on any other entity, government or otherwise. It is your problem that you created by being complicit in illegality, and then you sought to portray yourselves as the innocent party when you were just as guilty as council.
I have no comment to that.
Nothing further.
Just to Mr. Nigel, what Mr. Mpofu is talking about, I've got an example here, the heavyweights issue.
Yes.
Remember there was a court order obtained by heavyweights, undefended by council. Do you remember that issue? That Musasa was given land properly by council.
No, it wasn't.
Who was?
Heavyweights were given land properly by council.
And who obtained an order by default?
It was Msasa.
And who's there now?
Msasa is on the ground.
Because what happened to the court order?
I'm told it was unopposed
By the city of Harare.
by the city of Harare.
That's what Mr. Mpofu is saying. It's on record, we all know. Thank you, Chief.
Why didn't you oppose it? Why didn't you oppose it?
I'm not sure if it was served to us. Again, these are issues that come through our legal division.
No, but you are the director of housing. You see these structures every day. That's your department, isn't it?
If we had been made aware of it, we would have opposed it, Chairman.
So in other words, you are saying that you are not aware of what is happening in your department.
When that application came, we were not made aware
The
of
structures, you are not aware of what is happening in the city of Harare's perimeters.
it. The structures, we were aware, and we reported the matter to the police.
Yeah. How long have you been a director?
In city of Harare?
Yes.
7 years.
7 years. We are advised that condition of service amongst others is that you are entitled to a regional holiday once a year. Is that true?
It is true.
How many times have you been out of the country on holiday with your wife and or any other female adult, including 3 other children? I say so.
Once, Mr. Chairman, with my wife, the one I'm legally married to.
Yes. And then
kids.
And where to?
I went to Zanzibar.
Zanzibar. When was that?
This December.
Okay. Then the other 6 years, you did not go?
I did not go.
Why?
The money was not availed to us.
No, but they owe you money. We were told yesterday that if you don't travel, you still be given money equivalent to your equivalent. Is that true?
It is true.
So how much are you owed? 6 years.
My previous contract, which ended, I was only given 7,500 for that entire period, because for each year it was 2,500.
So you were given in arrears?
I was given in arrears, but it was cut.
$2,000?
2,000, yes.
That's a holiday
2,000.
package?
Yes. That's
And
what
how much were you given last year?
I'm still to receive, Chairman.
How much are you expecting?
North of 8,000 from the papers that I availed to finance.
Are you flying business class or economy? Or first
Economy.
class?
Economy.
How many were you?
It was myself.
No, and the number. Don't tell me the
five.
people. 5.
Yes.
All right, fine.
Okay, just.
All right, no, that's fine. Yes.
Maybe just 2 or so questions are raising. As a follow-up to that, so this money comes from ratepayers' money. Confirm that?
Like my salary, it comes from ratepayers' money.
Okay, thank you. I wanted you to confirm that. Then, on another issue, do you sit in the Human Resources and General Purpose Committee meetings?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Confirm that a Human Resources and General Purpose Committee committee was reconstituted in January 2025 by the mayor.
It was reconstituted, yes.
Okay.
All committees.
And that was during the time this commission had been set up.
Yes.
You confirmed that on 28 January 2025, an induction meeting was conducted, which was to induct Human Resources and General Purpose Committee members. Confirm that.
Confirmed.
You were in attendance.
I was not, but
Okay.
I was represented
Okay.
from my department.
So the purpose was to induct them, isn't it?
Yes.
Were they permitted to also amend the terms of reference, to your knowledge?
Terms of reference are crafted by Chamber Secretary and they were presented to them. Unfortunately, because I was not part of that process, I cannot comment, but given that the Chamber Secretary will be coming before this committee, he will competently comment on that.
Okay. Just have a look at this document. Go to, I'm showing to Exhibit 74, term of reference number 5. Can you quickly read it?
Development of human resources structure and establishment in conformity with City of Harare strategy and budget.
Okay, go on to number 19.
To consider proposals for dismissal of employees on the grounds of redundancy or some other substantial reasons or expiry of fixed-term contract.
Number 20.
To consider proposals for major organizational changes.
Number 22.
Approval of compensation for loss of office, that is, payments not required by the contract of employment.
Okay, thank you. We have evidence on record that those terms of reference were incorporated into the already existing terms of reference in order to victimize witnesses who had testified before this commission. What would be your comment?
At face value, I see no real sinister motive from those terms of reference. That will be my immediate reaction, because even without those terms of reference amplified as they have been done, I believe the Human Resources and GPC Committee, it is within their purview to do that.
Fine. And number 32. Read it loudly.
To consider matters concerning buildings owned or leased by the council for use by councillors and municipal staff as accommodation for the latter unless it is designated as quarters.
Okay. This was included. Was it not part and parcel of looting council property? Because councillors are not allowed to be, they are not entitled to accommodation from council.
Yeah, I will be at variance with that terms of reference. I think it should not even be under Human Resources and General Purpose Committee.
So you agree that it is
it's part and parcel of looting of council property, because this is not permissible, isn't it?
No, even if you look at it, it won't change anything. But it won't change anything.
Is that not so, Ms. Negay?
Yeah, I think that terms of reference, Chairman, must be expunged from.
Why? Does it sit well with you?
No, it doesn't sit well with me.
Why?
Because it's not within the purview of Human Resources and General Purpose.
Is it a device, then one will give forgiven for thinking that it is a device for looting?
Indeed, one will be forgiven for thinking that.
So I will advise you not to implement that resolution whenever you are called to do so, because it is unlawful. If you do so, you may face consequences. Do you understand?
I understand.
Thank you so much. And from just the last word, from your experience, when someone is building a house, and when a house is being inspected, I'm just trying to paraphrase, do you agree that every stage of the inspection is paid for?
Yes. The visit is paid for.
It's paid for?
Yes.
So if there is no evidence that
before you build?
It is the application that must be tendered first with council.
And then, what is the procedure?
You apply to council, to the Department of Planning. Then the department, as I indicated earlier, the circulation to the district officer, to the councillor, to ZACC, to other utility providers, including water, roads. All those must comment on that application. If the application is favorable, then it will be presented to the committee.
So if it is
to the Works and Town Planning Committee.
If it is rejected, you can't build.
If it is rejected, you can't build. You can appeal, but you should not proceed with it.
Is it proper then to start building before you are permitted to do so?
It's not proper.
It's illegal.
That's where the issues of regularization come. It's illegal. It's an illegal development.
What would you do then if that's a structure?
If that illegal development has occurred, someone is given 48-hour notice to ensure that the illegality is corrected.
How is it corrected? If you've already built and it has not been approved.
You have to dismantle the property. so that you can salvage whatever materials are salvageable.
Yes.
Have you done that of late?
I know there was one structure at the corner Leamington and Harare Drive that was dismantled after it had been erected.
Which one? The one, the double story?
It wasn't double story, it was a shed by the Chinese.
And how about 9 Sky Master Road in Belleville?
That one I'm not aware of it, Chairman.
I can direct you to go and look at it over the weekend and dismantle. Are you prepared to do that?
Development, we can dismantle, although development control is under urban planning services.
Do you know who is the owner of that?
No, I'm not aware.
Why? Can you go and find out? Let us know.
You said the address?
Number 9 is Sky Master in Belvedere.
In Belvedere.
Just nearby.
Oh.
Can you also check and see whether there are any receipts paid for the
development,
for the inspections, and bring the receipts on Monday? I specifically asked you to do that because you are under the housing.
Okay.
You understand? They'll give you more details. You bring the receipts which show that indeed it was not backdated. Was if that, then we'll bring the audit. Auditors will come in, but we want to see where these things were paid for. Isn't it, Mr.?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you so much.
And if there's a need for you to get an escort in regard to that, please do so. But I suspect, and reasonably so, that you are aware who the owner is.
Of 9 Sky Master?
Yes.
This one I'm not aware.
Yeah, fine. So you don't mind about destroying it?
An illegality has to be rectified.
You don't mind? You may be excused. You may be excused. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Almost,
Yes.
it's almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah, even if what is Chihuahua waiting, you are not going to take long with Chihuahua. Let's finish up with Mr. Chihuahua now. He's outside. Then we're left with that other evidence. I've already lost out, so you must also lose out. Let's do it. Just a few questions, then you finish.
You can finish the local democracy stuff.
Yes, state your full name, please.
Warren Chihuahua is my full name.
Sorry, Owen Chihuahua.
Warren Chihuahua.
Or Warren.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Swear in, please.
Warren Chihuahua, do you swear that the evidence we are going to give before this commission shall be the truth, nothing else but the truth? If you do swear, raise your right hand and say, so.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may sit down, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chihuahua. You have given evidence in this commission before.
Indeed.
You have been asked to come back to clarify certain issues that have arisen after you have given evidence. I'm going to request that you address yourself to the questions as they are asked and only expound when asked to do so for interest of time. I will go to the first issue which was discussed by this commission this morning. It involves an amount of USD 4.5 or $4 million that the Harare Mayor has told this court was stolen from the Harare City Council after it had been provided to Harare Quarry. You are aware of that issue?
Yes, I'm aware.
When was this money stolen?
I'm not quite sure about the actual dates, but some time back, I think 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
I think so.
The Harare Mayor has told this commission that he has learned that it was only reported to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission in September, I think, of last year. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I had a discussion with the BDU manager who confirmed that indeed they had made a report after the matter had came up in one of the committees of council.
Yes. And the issue of the rectification of this issue, the legality of it, and so forth, falls squarely within your purview in terms of your duties at the City Council?
Pardon, the issue of what?
Legal issues surrounding it. That it was illegal, that money had been stolen. The buck would stop in your office as the chief legal advisor of the City Council.
No, the buck stops in the office of the town clerk because it's part of our SBUs. They report to the BDU. They report to the town clerk's office through the office of the BDU.
And the town clerk relies on you for legal advice?
Yes.
Are you able to tell this commission why this matter went unreported for years after we are told there was a resolution for that to be done?
I am only aware that the resolution to report the matter to ZACC was done last year. What I am aware of is that hitherto there had been council resolutions to have a forensic audit. A forensic audit was done. That's the last I heard about it. Otherwise, when the matter arose, I wasn't even the chamber secretary then. It's a very, very old case.
You became aware of it when you became chamber secretary?
I became aware of it when they were doing the forensic audit, but the issue of reporting to ZACC was done last year. And
yes, we are told in September last year.
Yeah, that's when the committee then resolved that the matter be reported to ZACC.
Would you agree with me that this would be an anomaly and indeed shortchanging of Harare ratepayers for stolen money to remain unaccounted for and no action taken about it for a number of years in an institution that is hard up for cash?
Yeah, it's an anomaly. I agree.
You'd agree with me then it's dereliction of duty that the Harare City Council did not pronto report this matter when the theft was discovered?
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Who would you say is responsible for this irregularity, anomaly, and dereliction of duty?
The audit committee ought to have directed the head of the BDU to make that report.
Did you yourself do any correspondence, take any action to ensure that this was reported to the police?
When it arose last year, yes, I followed up. Then I was told that indeed the town clerk and the BDU manager had approached ZACC to report.
Who stole this money?
It's the Harare Quarry, I think the board and the secretariat. I think it's there in the report.
No, when you report to the police, you report people. Who stole that money?
I think it's the board, together with the secretariat. I am not the one who reported. It's the town clerk and the business development manager.
The board consisting of how many people?
I'm not quite aware of the number.
Okay, raise your voice, please.
I'm not conversant as to the numbers of the people.
You said it was stolen by the Harare Quarry board and secretariat.
The secretariat.
Which secretariat?
I think the general manager. I think the report implicated the board members and the general manager.
And do their names?
I just know the general manager.
What's the name?
Antonia Zotet.
And where is he?
It's a she.
Oh, it's a
I
she.
understand she's now chamber secretary for Marondera.
Antonia,
Recently appointed.
Antonia
Zotet.
Zoutete. Okay.
Right. The second issue I'll move to. No, before I move to that, you know for a fact that it was reported to Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission? Or is it something that has been whispered in the corridors?
It's been confirmed by the BDU manager, Tsitsi Samapundo.
Very well. Are you able to ask, maybe provide, after you have given evidence, on Monday, the particulars of the report and to whom it was made?
Okay, I will liaise with the people who reported, and I'll provide that information on Monday.
Very well. Next issue, I'm going to deal with the issue of the meetings of organs of the Harare City Council, subcommittees, and indeed the whole council itself. And you are aware of the fact that these are governed by statute.
Indeed, I'm aware.
What does the law say?
By organs of council, you mean which ones in particular?
Committee meetings? Council meetings?
We have the Urban Councils Act. We also have our own proceedings of council bylaws and our other policies, council policies.
They prescribe the number of committee meetings that can be held.
Yeah, the Urban Council Act says at least once a month.
Now, the evidence that is before this commission is that sometimes you have 2 per week.
In relation to one committee?
Yes.
If it's a special meeting, for example, HR, usually they request for extra meetings, special HR meetings. If there is an agent.
Can they do those ultra-vires the law?
They can't do ultra-vires the law.
So if you have more than 1 meeting per month, you are doing so ultra-vires the law?
Not necessarily. The law simply says at least. Yeah. So it will be ultra-vires the law.
Bring the statute. Let's go with it together.
I didn't bring one.
All right. It is an anomaly. You would agree that subcommittees would have 2 meetings per week.
It's permissive. The Act is permissive if there are special circumstances, like the ones I have highlighted.
What special circumstances?
Like, for instance, if government says we want you to go elsewhere and do A, B, C, D, we then can't wait for the next month.
You agree with me that that is not the situation that has prevailed? No such government directives have been given?
They have been here and there, but there are other meetings that have been requested for that did not emanate from government.
But these are happening twice per week? 3 times sometimes?
3 times I'm not aware. Maybe twice.
That's the evidence that has come out in this meeting.
I have the schedule of meetings I can provide today. There's
Very well.
There's nothing like that.
Do provide those. Who sets the agenda for those?
I set the agenda. We set an annual program, but sometimes it's not followed because there will be special requests for special meetings.
Where do you derive the agenda you set?
We just look at the Act and say at least once a month we set there.
I'm talking about the agenda.
Oh, the agenda.
Yes.
We derive it from reports from departments. For example, if we want to have something from housing, the director of housing gives me the report through the committee's manager. If we want something from planning, the director of urban planning gives me the report. If there are no reports, I never set anything.
And who is responsible for the formulation of terms of reference?
All departments. If we are formulating terms of reference for the EMC, for example, we work, my team from the committees division work with the team from the Department of Works. If we are formulating terms of reference for the HR committee, my team works with the team from the HR department, seconded by the HR director.
And your team, you being the head, is the one who then goes through the terms of reference to determine their legality?
Yes, together with other directors.
But you are the chief legal advisor?
Yes, I am.
Now, there is a meeting, I think it's exhibit...
Yes, what I look at.
This is a meeting of the Human Resources and General Purposes Committee on the proposed terms of reference for Human Resources and General Purposes Committee. And I'm just going to refer you for the exigencies of the situation, I'll just refer you to term of reference number 32. Now, evidence, have you gone through it? Oh. Have you seen that? No, they are not.
I took it before I could complete the reading.
Well, my friend has written his own private notes, but I'll read it for you. To consider matters concerning buildings owned or leased by the council for use by councillors and municipal staff as accommodation for the latter, unless it is designated as quarters. Now, that is unlawful. It is ultra vires the regulations governing perks for councillors or persons involved here. Who was responsible for that term of reference?
When was that done? Because we amended those recently.
20th of January this year. 28th.
I think that one was removed, definitely. I think someone took an unedited version of the draft. Because now the perks of councillors work hand in glove with ministerial circulars.
Yes.
On the ministerial circular, that issue is not.
The evidence we have before this commission is that that term of reference number 32 was actually passed. That this document is actually extant in terms of its applicability.
Like I'm saying, yes, I can show you my program. We are going through terms of reference as we speak. Mm-hmm. So nothing has been passed. After this, we are going to the full council to pass the edited terms of reference. So it's not true.
But this committee passed this.
I think it was passed a long time ago before the ministerial approval. I think that was
no. This is a meeting of.
What's the date?
28th January.
Maybe were you trying to correct that?
Yeah, we've been correcting and editing everything.
No,
most of the terms of reference.
You're trying to correct those minutes.
No, I'm saying we are currently in the process of taking councillors through new terms of reference.
Yeah, no, that's fine, I understand. But how about that document there? Were you trying to correct that one? The minutes already been passed.
I think it was omitted when it was presented because I think that's a typo error. Because the issues to do
typing error of that nature.
I think I'll have to cross-check with my office because I didn't attend.
Where is yours? At what stage is it going?
All the terms of reference now are awaiting approval by adoption by full council in February, end of February. So nothing has been adopted as yet. It's a draft. Sometimes they copy and paste. The committee's manager copies and pastes.
So this is your evidence is that this is not the official position.
That's not a term of reference for HR. And the terms of the terms of reference as they relate to perks of councillors are governed by circulars from the ministry.
Very well. You know of this circular of the 24th of September 2024?
Yes.
You are aware of it?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
I'll just go straight to the point without elaboration for exigencies of the situation, as I've said. Notwithstanding that circular, the council right now is in the middle of, or has started the process of renovating, I think it's number 8 or 9, Drummond Chaplin Road, for purposes of official accommodation of the Harare Mayor. You're aware of that?
I'm aware of the fact that there were plans. There was a resolution to give the mayor an alternative accommodation. But the renovations are not aware.
You are, of course, aware that that resolution, again, is ultra vires the law.
Yeah, we advised. The minutes clearly state that I advise that anything outside the circular should go through the Ministry of Local, and I have a copy of the minutes.
You have the copy of
The minutes.
You actually advised.
Yes.
When did you advise them?
Let me check the actual dates.
Is the renovations stopped?
I'm not aware of any renovations. Because once we come up with the resolution, it's the relevant department that then takes care of the administrative aspect of that. I'm not involved.
Yes, okay. So, without the exact date, when would you say you advised them? Is it this year, last year?
It's last year, definitely last year.
It is last year. Now, and yet, never mind, you can bring those.
Yeah, it's on the 10th of June 2024. A resolution under item 2.
10th of June 2024.
Yeah,
This was before the 24th of September 2024.
it was before.
But you advised them that any action that runs contrary to ministerial directives is outside the law.
Yes.
Now, we have had the mayor testify over the last couple of days, and up until today, the mayor was indicated that he was unaware of the illegality of the resolution to build alternative accommodation for him, as you say. What would be your comment to that?
I wouldn't know. Maybe he didn't go through the minutes himself, but it's there. It's black and white. It's here.
Are you able to say, I advise the mayor and I advise the council that they cannot give packs that are not authorized by the minister, and they all understood it?
Yeah, they all understood it. But there are some,
including the mayor.
I don't know if he understood it, but I advised. The issue of understanding that subject.
If he had not understood, he would have come back to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clarification.
Yes.
So
it's not the only issue.
No. If he had misunderstood, he would have come back to you for clarification.
That would be my assumption.
So
the mayor is a lawyer. You are a lawyer.
Yes.
Is there anything which would have stopped him to come back to you for clarification?
We work in the same building, so...
Is there anything which would have stopped him from coming to you for clarification?
Nothing.
So the fact that he has not come back to you can reasonably presume that he understood.
I would think so.
Right, fine.
Yet, despite your advice, that resolution was made by council. So, my question to you is, are you therefore stating before this commission that despite your advice to the contrary, the council went ahead and made a resolution that they had been told of its illegality?
Yes.
Sorry?
I can confirm that that's the position.
That's the position. Now, you'd also confirm that that is not the only situation that you have experienced, whereby you give advice and council ignores it and makes resolutions that are ultra vires the law.
Yeah, there are instances of that nature.
Can you just give us 2 examples off the top of your head?
Regularization. In Budirio, we
Yes.
advised that we had already secured court victories in 2017, so it was now unwise to regularize on areas that we already had secured court victories, and we are awaiting execution of the court orders. And proceeded to regularize.
Despite your advice?
Not all of them, a few.
But council endorsed it?
Yeah, it was heated, but they endorsed it.
They endorsed
Some
it?
were against, some were not against.
Against legal advice. Okay, another example?
I think that's the most burning one. But there are several.
But there are several.
Like if you say the stents, commercial stents, we also advised that the circulars keep changing. There are circulars that say they can get as of right. There are other circulars that say they have to be on the waiting list like any other person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that situation, would I be wrong in saying that council willfully broke the law. Willfully and knowingly broke the law.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the answer?
In instances where I had advised, yes.
In fact, would I be wrong in saying that they are actually in the habit of doing that?
Not always, but here and there.
You don't engage in your habit every day, but you have a habit. Would I be wrong in saying that they are in the habit of disregarding legal advice coming from a professional who is in a professional office, like yourself?
In certain instances, yes.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Let me follow it up. Are you happy with your legal advice being disregarded?
Pardon?
Are you happy with your legal advice? You as the Chamber Secretary and Chief Law Officer of the City Council giving advices and they are being ignored?
I'm not happy, and now I have instructed.
No, you are not happy.
I'm not 100% happy.
What have you done about your unhappiness?
Now I have ensured that we minute everything. Usually we would just paraphrase. Now I make sure that my committee officers minute every legal advice I have given and that they have disregarded in that committee meeting.
Are you happy to work with people who disregard your legal advice?
Obviously, I'm not.
You are?
I'm not happy.
You're not happy? Right. Yes, let's proceed. Yes.
Okay. There are other issues related to the Harare Quarry issue. The issue of City Park, where they invested an amount of 400,000 in a South African company called Parkrite. Another amount of 289,756 was invested in Ghana, and 930,000 Smart Park in Zambia. These are all investments we are told, the Commission has been told, have actually been lost. Has there been any action that your office has advised or taken to recover this?
That's an odd case. I think the Parkrite issue happened before I even joined council, most of the stuff. So I understand there have been audits that have been done and recommendations that were made in those audit reports way before I became Chamber Secretary.
To the extent that those matters are still live, if I may use that issue, is your office seized with them?
No, my office is not seized with them.
Why is it not seized with issues like this where money has been lost?
Like I said, these are old cases. Maybe they were seized with the former Chamber Secretary. I'll have to follow up.
Are you aware of them?
Yeah, I got away when I joined council. When I joined in 2014, I think there was an arbitration going on between City Park and the South African company. Some arbitration.
What was the result of that?
I think City of Harare won. I'm not quite sure. It's been some time.
And we still come back to my question as to whether those monies have been recovered.
I don't have that information of it, but I can get it.
Are you able to bring that information?
Yeah, I will just need a bit of time.
Yeah.
Maybe next week, Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, but in terms of other amounts, the amount 400,000 from 930,000 from Zambia and 289,000 from Ghana, these are issues that remain unresolved in terms of the recovery of the money.
Yeah, most of these issues were really not in the public eye. They got unearthed when this commission started operating. So we are getting to know some of these things. But so we will take action.
As it stands right now, the money is unrecovered.
I wouldn't say yes or no. I'll have to check. Now that I now have that information, I'll have to check.
You are able
to ensure that something is done.
You are able to come next week to this commission and just present a paper, not necessarily in evidence of what has been done to recover that.
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you very much. Then I have a letter. Exhibit number 74. This is a procurement issue. Exhibit 74.
Yeah, for procurement of requirements for
this.
towns, yeah.
We are informed this was called by the mayor.
No, it was not called for by the mayor.
He did attend it.
Yes, I signed that off. Maybe if you could allow me to explain it. There is a serious shortage of everything, including a town, mainly a townhouse. There are no printers, there are no toners, no bond paper, no pads, no diaries whatsoever. So it had become so dire that everyone was now blaming my office, that we are having meetings, there's no agenda. We are having meetings, we haven't printed anything. We want to have a full council meeting at 11, but at 11 there's nothing. Nothing has been printed, nothing. Even the ERP system is down. If you want to send notices via email, they don't go out on time. So I said, chairpersons, it's not my fault. Let me invite all the departments that are there. That's why I invited chairpersons. And the mayor, it was just for notification. I just wanted the chairpersons, the heads, and those in charge of procurement, so that they tell us what the problem was. So that's what we did. The mayor came and he just made introductory remarks complaining about the lack of those items. Then he left for this commission, and the meeting went ahead with us in attendance.
Okay, we'll come back to that. But there is one other aspect related, perhaps in the same period. This is a letter which was written to persons who have been affected by a resolution made by council. It's exhibit, where is that letter? But whilst my colleague helps me to find the exhibit, this is a letter where affected employees were asked to give their opinion on the interpretation of a notice given or a resolution given. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, now, to cut a long story short, it is improper that workers be asked to give their own interpretation of a resolution made by the council or of a directive.
Yeah, it's improper. Maybe if you could allow me to give a brief background to that.
Yes.
On the 4th of November, there was a resolution that said, in HR, that said perhaps we did not do things correctly. There was a job evaluation that catapulted certain employees to senior positions in grade 2, 3, and 3. Then we said, no, you can't automatically become a grade 3 without the local government board approval. So what do? Let's then suspend the operation of that resolution pending local government board approval. So someone reverts back to their original position. Most of the people who went to grade 3 were grade 4. They were still within the executive bracket. So when that happened, it went to full council on the 18th of December. That's when others were saying, it's not very clear what then happens to those whose grades or whose posts had already been abolished or been filled up. That's when the mayor then said, the interpretation is clear in the minutes of the HR. If someone then thinks otherwise, maybe they can write us complaining that perhaps we don't understand the implication, the import of this decision. That's how it was captured. But I agree with you that it's improper for employees to then be asked to interpret council resolution. But that's the background.
So the background of it is that there was a resolution given. The council had an interpretation. And then it improperly asked employees to give their own interpretation of the law. That is, in a nutshell, what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that the actual resolution is to the effect that employees who had been catapulted via a job.
Yes, we understood it. And I'm paraphrasing what you have agreed that this was improper.
The second resolution.
Yes. Now,
there were two resolutions.
Yes, and why was that improper thing done? To what end?
I don't know why it was done, because council usually adopts a recommendation from a council committee meeting. The recommendation that came from HR was simply that let's wait for the local government board to approve these new structures and the ministry as well. The second one, which said employees were going to interpret their understanding of the resolution, was not even a principal resolution or recommendation from the HR committee.
The acting human capital director has written you a letter which is before this commission, wherein he pointed out his views and in a way indicating what you have now agreed, which is that it was improper. Have you responded to it?
I only saw it on Monday. He came with it on Monday to my office.
You have not yet?
I have not, but we spoke. I responded to him verbally. I'm now going to respond in writing. But we had a discussion, the two of us.
You are going to respond to it?
Yes. My response to him was that I had no problems with having grades 1 to 3 be approved by the local government board in terms of the circular of the ministry. But I had problems with the second resolution, which said employees had to give their own interpretation.
Now, lastly for me, I'll come to the issue of Major Marara. Major Marara gave evidence before this commission, and after giving evidence in this commission, which was deemed not favorable to others, the mayor included, he was then suspended. A letter of suspension was written, purportedly. There was an attempt to suspend him, purportedly, as a measure of implementing a council resolution. You are aware of Major Marara's situation?
I'm not aware of the purported suspension. What I'm aware of is the letters that went to all the affected employees, those from grade 1 to 3, that had been catapulted as a result of the job evaluation exercise. So that letter, that I have all the letters for everyone. Marara, Sangaya, Matengarufu himself, and Obelo Moy. So,
no, in addition to that, there had been another one drafted.
I never saw
where it. Charges were put to him, one of which was misleading the council on an issue that actually should be your purview. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware. I'm seeing this for the first time. Should I read it?
The acting town clerk? Yes, you can go through it quickly.
Yes. I'm seeing it for the first time, but I'm aware of that.
You are aware of that?
Yeah.
The acting town clerk says he sought your counsel over this issue.
I haven't seen it. I've just heard that. I spoke with him yesterday. He said he had sent a copy of the letter to me. He was asking if I had seen it. I haven't. But I will respond as soon as I see it.
Now,
but that one, I haven't seen it.
You had not seen it. Now, why I use the word purportedly is because you will notice that this letter was drafted first. And when there was resistance for one reason or another, we then had the ones that you have which affect everyone. But for Major Marara, there was a letter directed to him with charges actually put to him, as you saw. Now, you are the chamber secretary. Had anybody consulted you, as they should have, about these charges to such a senior employee as Major Mayoral?
No, no one consulted me.
So this was not done.
So what the town clerk, acting town, was now trying to do was to consult me post ipso facto.
No, what I'm saying, the point that I wish to bring out is that we have been informed as to how this situation came about. We have been informed that the mayor and a number of councillors pressured Matenga Rufu to author this letter for the acting town clerk's signature in order to suspend him for transgressions mentioned therein. And what I wish to bring out from you is the fact that you had not been consulted at all about these transgressions, as you should have done, as you should have been.
I was not consulted. If you give me an opportunity, I will tell you that on the 4th of November and on the 12th of December, I actually raised that issue that if you are to say everyone should go back to their original positions, Marara would be affected because his original post has since been filled.
Okay. But the point that I'm making, that charges were put to him outside your office knowledge even.
Yeah, I was not aware. I'm seeing that for the first time.
Now, is that an isolated situation or is it something that happens regularly within council whereby issues that should be your purview in terms of formulating charges against employees accused of transgressions are put to them without your office being involved?
Usually, if it involves employees in grades 1 and 2, I'm not involved because we are at the same level. And the town clerk is grade 1. He deals with the mayor directly. He's above me.
No, I'm talking about legal advice.
Legal advice.
For everyone, including the town clerk. If the town clerk engages in some action where some people might have the view that it is illegal, they would consult you as the lawyer.
Yeah, I've been consulted several times.
Yes, but
sometimes
on this one,
I'm not consulted.
In this one, you are not.
On this one, I was not.
And it's a regular thing. They don't consult you on these things.
It's first of its kind. It's first of its kind. Under my watch, it's first.
All right. Now, given this, given that you have seen this letter, you were not consulted, and it was done after Major Mayoral had testified, and a few days later, there is another letter of implementation. Wouldn't you agree with me that the overwhelming perception is that the current implementation of this resolution is actually part of the victimization of this individual, given that another attempt had been made using another avenue a few days before that implementation of the resolution?
Maybe in relation to the suspension, yes, but in relation to the issue of the structures themselves, it's not.
You are saying it is a coincidence that the attempted suspension and the implementation of that structures resolution happened contemporaneously?
No, maybe let me come out clearly. I'm saying in relation to the suspension, an inference could be drawn that is victimization because it happened after he testified. But in relation to the structures, it had been an ongoing exercise.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry?
I have nothing further.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have anything to add?
There's nothing. There's nothing.
Just one question. Mr. Shawawa, thank you very much for coming again to assist the commission. Just clarity here. You said when you look at the committees of council, the one which seems to hold more meetings, including special meetings, is the Human Resources and General Purpose Committee. Did I hear you correctly?
I just gave that one as an example. But what I know is that sometime last year, there was a resolution, a request, actually, which I tried to resist, but I was overruled, for EMC to meet every week. That would be 4 times a month. Environmental Management Committee, WASH, they made a request to meet every week. I resisted that. It's there in the minutes, but then they said, no, it's a critical service delivery committee. We need to get updates. That one meets at least 4 times a week. It only stopped when reports stopped coming because I couldn't set I can't set meetings when there are no reports. When HR happens to meet regularly, because sometimes someone can come with an invitation to attend a seminar or something, they can't attend without an HR resolution. So we'll have to then convene a virtual HR meeting. So HR usually meets more than what I would have bargained for.
You said if there are no reports, I don't set an agenda. So HR will meet whether there's a report or not.
No, if there's a request, like, if you heard me correctly, someone can just come and say, we have an invitation from the Law Society that says we are going for winter school. Ordinarily, I have to set an HR committee meeting. But other than that, I have an annual committees program, which I send out in December, which we strive to follow religiously.
You try to follow, but we have heard from evidence that your council is in the habit of holding special meetings quite regularly too. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, last year I think we held 8, and they were to do with ERP and the cholera outbreak. So we held 8.
Is that a normal procedure in a functional council? That most, and also not just special meetings, but also resolving into committee when we've just started proceedings. Is that correct? It's been also brought to our attention. How do you comment on that?
It's not normal, because ordinarily we should use the committee system whereby a committee recommends to full council. Then council adopts or rejects or amends that recommendation. That's the norm.
Is that happening, Mr. Shawa?
Yeah, it's happening. But last year, it was so constant that we ended up having 8 special councils.
Then finally, Chair, I was just looking again at this schedule which we got from finance of the meetings, of the workshops held by council, and I suppose we are the one who authorizes this, like you've just said.
I don't authorize.
What do you do?
I convene a meeting if the report comes. Workshops, the reports for workshops come from HR department. So once that report comes to me, I convene a meeting. Then the councillors authorize or decline that workshop. They've declined several times. They've authorized several times.
What is worrying here, Mr. Chiwawa, is the numbers here. I'm looking at many of your meetings are plus 30 people attending those workshops. Is that normal in an organization?
Yeah, if you look at the HR minutes of last week, I've always been complaining about the names. I requested councillors in HR to limit the number of aides traveling, because most of the numbers usually balloon because of support staff. Like if I am to go with my driver, the mayor goes the driver and an aide, the town clerk, the aide, the driver, the deputy mayor, the aide, the driver, you will see the numbers will balloon. So we have made the resolution that going forward, we will only go with those people that are relevant for that specific seminar or workshop.
I'm looking at sports committee induction here. Kadoma Hotel, 116 people attended that one. Ipsa's policy validation and compliance, Kadoma Hotel, 177. Risk-based audit plan 2024, 161. Is that a workshop?
Yeah, like I said, my role is facilitatory. The report will have come with those numbers to me. And it's not normal.
You don't expect 161 people to be in a workshop which is productive. Do you?
Yeah, it's abnormal. I agree with you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. Just one issue, Mr. Chiwawa. According to your letter of 29 January, expressing panic over critical shortages, have you since, has this action that you took of meeting everyone that you invited to that meeting been able to help you resolve? Because I think the ratepayers would be very worried that there is no toner cartridge at Townhouse. There is no bond paper at Townhouse.
Yeah, the residents ought to be worried. I'm worried too, because I'm the one who fork out my money to send my officials to print in Rizende, printing state secrets, printing council secrets in Rizende. So I was worried. That's why I called for that meeting. So I'm not happy. But they promised me that by Friday we have printers, toners, and at least 8 laptops. So I wait to see whether they are going to honor their promise. But it was a tug of war between finance department and procurement. Procurement is saying we were sending our papers to finance. Finance were saying we never saw any papers.
So are you declaring that there is a problem with the procurement whose sole responsibility is to provide these things that you need to use?
Yeah, there's a serious problem with the procurement.
Thank you.
To the extent that in the last HR, it was suggested that perhaps we should write to the ministry to forward or to second a person from PRAS or the ministry to assist to head the procurement division of council. Because nothing was happening. Nothing is happening.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chua, my question is to do with ministerial directives and the interpretation and implementation by council. What role do you play?
My role is to simply, if a circular comes and a directive comes, my role is to ensure that it's complied with.
In instances where council has resolved to defy a ministerial directive, what steps have you taken? If you can give us an example.
We give minutes to the ministry, all the minutes which will contain all the advice we would have given. For example, this one about the house, the regularization, we forward all the minutes to the ministry. So it's up to the ministry to then take action. But we forward everything. We will have resolved the council.
So you have, in instances, told the ministry that this is what council has resolved outside of the directives?
Yes, we forward everything. Yeah, we do. And in terms of circulars, we do a report to the HR to advise them that this is the circular that has come. Like this one that have just been given. There's another one that came, I think, in December. So that one has already been superseded. We give them via a report. Then in terms of directives, I have on several occasions told them that in terms of section 314, subsection 1 of the Urban Councils Act, if a directive comes, we have to comply with due expedition. There's no two ways about it. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they resist. I'll give a case in point. When council resolved to terminate our agreement with Geopomon, there was a ministerial directive that said that rescinded that directive, and I advised them that the minister, who was Comrade July Moede, had resolved to rescind your resolution. Some were against that, but it prevailed.
And when it comes to HR issues regarding elected officials and council employees, where does the buck stop?
HR issues?
Yes.
The director of HR.
And the mayor who takes care of his conditions of service?
The mayor will take care of his condition of service through directives or circulars from the ministry. So it's my office and the town clerk's office. The town clerk through my office.
Well, why I'm asking is there's been a debate in the morning about interpretation of what roles and perks accrue to the position of a mayor. From your understanding, do we have an executive mayor or ceremonial mayor?
What I know is that in 2008, I think on 1 March, there was the Local Government General Laws Amendment Act that abolished that post. So now it's not clear whether the mayor still has executive powers or not. We still have the office of the mayor. The powers are still there, but there's debate as to whether those powers are executive or not.
So it's not clear to you this time?
My understanding is that the executive powers reside in the town clerk since the post of the executive mayor was abolished in 2008.
I ask this because in the morning we're told that there are certain benefits that accrue to the mayor as we speak. But we're at pains to find where the legislation or the directive or the circular is. And we're told there's a circular that speaks of an aid, an S500 Mercedes, a house, all of that.
The issue of cars comes from the ministry. I'll have to check which car should accrue to the mayor, but there are constant circulars that speak to that. I think in 2020, there was a circular which actually was to the effect that mayors were to be offered to buy the cars they were using.
And housing?
Housing is the one that we were talking with Mr. Improper, that if you resolve to give a house to a mayor, it has to go to the ministry for approval. Because ordinarily a mayor should stay in the mayoral mansion, but that mansion is resident to our business development unit in the Harare Sunshine Holdings, and it's also now been given to the School of Excellence, so the mayor can't reside.
And lastly, where there have been issues of default judgments entered against the city of Harare, what has been the reason for that? Because evidence we've heard today suggests that sometimes it's deliberate to further particular interests to the detriment of council.
I have heard about that, and I have instructed my legal manager to compile all the deed of settlements we have done, which were done without my knowledge, and default judgment ordinarily should attract disciplinary hearing if there is no sufficient explanation as to why that default judgment was done.
And an issue I'd forgotten. Councillor Blessing Bloomer told us about the appointment of lawyers on boards of these special business units and for doing council work. How is that done? There's a suggestion that there's a group of people that have, it's their fiefdom.
What I know is that there are lawyers, yes, in Rufaro Marketing, there was Obesha and Harrison Ngomo. Then City Parking, I think there is Patasara. I don't know about the fiefdom part, because they are the ones who appoint. They are appointed by the business committee, not
the councillors that appoint these people.
Yeah, through the office of the town clerk. The town clerk recommends names to the business committee. The business committee then adopts that recommendation or rejects. If they view that someone is not desirable, then it goes to full council. That's the norm. If that's not being followed, then maybe I don't know what's happening. But
in respect of leases by council to private individuals, does your office handle those leases, whether it's residential or commercial?
No, leases are done under the town clerk's office through the valuations in the state management division.
So there are no lawyers involved in the processing of leases by council?
No, they just give us to review, but usually we are not involved in that process. Our involvement maybe is that we set the report in the Finance and Development Committee.
No, you're not being clear. Maybe I don't understand. What role does your office play in the issuance of leases for council property?
The role my office plays, is to facilitate the tabling of a report to the Finance Committee. That report comes from the valuations in the states, indicating the person to which a lease is to be given. So they give me the report, I set it, I put it on the agenda. That's my role. So
you don't want the drafting? Or
even the drafting is done at the valuations.
No lawyers involved?
Yeah, we are not involved.
Thank you, Mr. Chua. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe just one question. You complained about the procurement management unit not being fully effective. Is that so?
Yeah.
But we have a witness who is on suspension. He was cleared. Council was told to actually re-employ him, rather, was told to suspend or lift the suspension. This has not been done. What have you done as the acting chamber secretary?
I am not formally advised of the status of his criminal case. But if it's true that he has been discharged, he should resume duties.
Yes,
The basis upon which he was suspended was the criminal case.
He was cleared. I would want you to give us an update on Monday. Maybe I would want you to confirm that he has been re-engaged because he was cleared.
Yeah, I can do that, but I would be arrogating myself powers that do not belong to me. He reports directly to the town clerk.
Why I'm saying so is that, in fact, there is victimization from the mayor. The mayor is directing that he should not be re-engaged. Can you look into it? Thank you.
I would do so.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chua. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Right. Gentlemen, we'll postpone the matter at the end of the...
You said it's Monday.
Yes, we are postponing the matter to the 10th of February 2025 at 900 hours to continue with the mayor's evidence.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Adjourn.
Sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plan.